how are insurers recalibrating risk pricing models to reflect the unpredictability introduced by climate-driven disruptions, particularly for tech business dependent on distributed cloud infrastructure?
Insurers are not only reacting, but they are reinventing the way they look at climate risks, which can impact, global IT slash multinational organizations' operations. And particularly, it applies to cloud operations, where most of the organizations across the globe are nowadays dependent on. What insurers that I learn are trying to do is develop bespoke AI-driven analytics, which can actually drive simulations based on satellite imagery, the cloud center positionings, data coming in from the natural catastrophic loss avenues. They are able to superimpose all these data onto analytics, which can run simulations and then stress test the cloud centers, which are based in various geographies of the world, in order to test how they would be resilient to a catastrophic climate event, like, let's say, a wildfire or an inundation, sudden inundation and flooding in a particular area. So insurers are able to not only depend on historic loss data, but are again running real-time simulations in order to check the resilience of operations of cloud centers across the globe. Now, organizations which have very strong ESG practices, organizations which have cloud centers which are more renewable energy source dependent, organizations which have very robust disaster and disaster continuity mechanisms in place, would drive better ratings from these insurers who are deploying AI analytics. So organizations will have to move into more of a resilient, operating their data centers, rather than depending on peer group benchmarkings and stuff like that, in order to better come out with risk transfer solutions in recent times.
Something I never thought I would use as a tech broker is Archipelago, which is our internal software package that we have that help clients forecast cat loss onto their locations. Especially thinking about my geography in the U.S., we have California, we have severe wildfire danger, and then in Florida, we have a lot of flood danger. Yeah. We have some clients that have a property in both, where insurers are no longer taking the risk. So now we're using that software to actually help clients predict that risk and what insurers may do, so that they can think of alternative solutions as they start to think about how to expand their operations, how to be more resilient and have different geographies. So interesting that as a tech broker, we're now using property cat modeling, which I never thought I would do.
Yeah, that's quite really interesting. And to predict those climate risks and then understand and then give it out to the insurer, so that you are resilient and you're already protected once it strikes.
Exactly. So we're not letting the insurers dictate to our clients. We're helping them get to a point where they're still insurable.
You can't just look at the general historic loss runs or sort of trends from the past 10 or 15 years to then map what's coming down the line. Yeah. There's going to be, there's automation, and the technology industry is continuously evolving. So in order to map the new risk, we have to come up with a risk quantification method, which is essentially mapping or trying to map out the unknown moving forward. So it just adds a bit of a curveball to that whole quantification piece.
Yeah, it's like just diving into the unknown and just predicting and keep learning and keep evolving.